Yo. So yeah, this is the top NBA. This is the video where me and my friends we just talk about basketball games, NBA games that happen today. So like today is January 12th. And we're just gonna be talking about the NBA games that happened today. First game, and I mean to be honest, a lot of the games today I don't care about, right? Because they're not my teams except for one, and there are a lot of blowouts. So literally don't care. But we're gonna start off with the one game that actually was pretty entertaining, which was Miami Heat taking on the 76ers. Now both teams only had 8 players because of Corona, so kind of makes it tough, right? It's not like a regular game and whatnot, right? You have a bunch of scrubs, G League players playing, um, but it was actually really good. It was a really fun game to watch. I'm gonna be honest, all the 6 p.m. games I didn't catch right away. I only caught like the tail end, like the third and fourth quarter. Um, so I didn't get to see the build up, but from what I saw, it was a good game. You know, the Sixers, Joel Embiid dropped 45 points. I think he had yeah, what does he have? He had 45 points, uh, 16 rebounds, and 5 steals, which is crazy for a big man. I'm not a fan of Joel Embiid, and I know all my friends are not fans of Joel Embiid either, but he is a monster, right? He's an absolute beast. And in overtime, he took over. He had, I don't know how many points he had in OT, but he was just going crazy. He was running the offense. Like, he just said, you know what? We're not losing a game like this. Let me just take over and get a dub. Shout out Tyreek Maxey. Dude's a beast. Dude's a baller. 16 points this game after coming off of a 39-point game where he literally did it all and he didn't break a sweat. So he kind of took the backseat this game. And Danny Green, after going like 0 for 10, there's a funny video on Twitter, man. Dude went 0 for 10 yesterday, and then today drops 29. Still didn't shoot particularly well. I mean, 10 for 25 isn't insane or anything like that, but 29 points, you'll take it. Other than that, I mean, the Heat, Duncan Robinson had 26, Tyler Hero had 34, um, Kelly Olynyk had 15, Precious Achiuwa 17. So like a lot of the two main shooters on the Heat, which is Duncan Robinson and Tyler Hero, they did what they had to do, right? They're shooters, so you expect them to shoot. But at the percentages that they were shooting, like 6 for 14 isn't insane. It's a little less than 50%. Tyler Hero went 3 for 9, which isn't all that good, to be honest. But so I mean, the Heat, they obviously just need their full lineup, and they're gonna get that soon. I don't know when, but soon they're gonna get their full lineup, and they're gonna start winning games again. But if there was one good thing you could take away from this game is that Precious Achiuwa is definitely a steal in the draft. Dude is a baller. This game he had 17 points, 13 rebounds, and 7 for 10 from the field, all in 36 minutes as a starter. So I mean, if you're a rookie, usually he comes off the bench, but as a rookie, that's what you want to see, especially with Bam out, right? With Bam out, now you have a guy who can do what Bam does, just you know, Walmart Bam. Um, but yeah, no, like Precious Achiuwa is gonna be a beast. Shout out Fawad. I know this is your team, and I know you're not happy with the result, but it's not bad. It was a fun game to watch. At least in OT, Joel Embiid kind of went crazy. Even though he moves like a tortoise, but he's just fun to watch. All right, so next game we're gonna talk about is my team. Shout out Brooklyn. Brooklyn versus Denver Nuggets. We won the game today, 122 to 116. Need it, especially after the drama that happened today. Oh my gosh, I don't even want to talk about it. But anyway, we'll just talk about the game. So, also shout out to the Nuggets. They have Zeke, Najee. You know what I'm saying? Hopkins. So this game, we're kind of messing around with the starting lineup, and that's one thing Steve Nash is doing a lot. Is he's mixing and matching a lot of our starters. just playing around, seeing what we can get, seeing what we can create with it. So like this game, we had Bruce Brown, Joe Harris, Jared Allen, Kevin Durant, and Jeff Green start. Uh, Only two of those are normal starters. Jared Allen might be actually starting to be a real starter now, which is good. But Bruce Brown and Jeff Green usually are not starters, and they usually come off the bench. In fact, Bruce Brown doesn't even play a lot, so it's kind of weird to see him go from like not playing to playing a whole lot. But that's still really good to see because today he played. He had big buckets down the end of the stretch, and he made a lot of really smart basketball plays, which is what you want, right? We traded Donza Musa and I think a second round pick for Bruce Brown. And I was like, Donza Musa isn't that good, so we need somebody. Hopefully, this Bruce Brown guy is going to be good. And now he's coming in and he's actually good, right? Donza Musa was not good. So we getting a good player for our team, which is good. He had 16 points this game, 8 for 11 in 26 minutes, which is perfect. It's what we need, especially with Dinwiddie out. Hopefully he gets better soon. You know what I'm saying? He's going to be out for the season, but I really want him to come back strong for next year if he re-signs with us next year. Other than that, Joe Harris had 15 points, and Jeff Green had 8 points. Jared Allen had 6. It was a quiet game from Jared Allen. He played 36 minutes, but didn't do anything crazy this game, which is surprising, personally, because everyone that I know that's on the internet that's a Brooklyn fan wants Jared Allen to start over DeAndre Jordan, and then he doesn't do anything crazy, but it's one game. He'll probably bounce back, so not the end of the world. But let's talk about KD. Oh my God, KD is such a bucket, man. He almost had a triple double actually, which is crazy. 34 points, 13 assists, and 9 rebounds. He was one rebound away from a triple double, ladies and gentlemen. That is just so good to see, man. I'm glad he's coming out from his injury and just balling, going crazy. It's what you want to see, right? You don't want to see somebody fall off after an injury like he had. So that's good to see. But yeah, no, he was definitely a clutch player down the end of the stretch, like Joel Embiid. He just hit a bunch of shots, and the game-winning shot, I guess you could say, was a step-back three, right? It was just a drive up, hesitate, behind the back, step back, three. You know what I'm saying? So, but then our bench, which is probably the weakness of our whole team, Taurean Prince had 7 points. Honestly, Taurean Prince and Landry Shamet are my least two favorite players on the Brooklyn Nets right now, not counting Kyrie Irving. I'm talking about just like basketball-wise, like just how they play. I dislike the way they play. Taurean Prince doesn't do enough for us, I think, on some nights, and some nights he will just go crazy, right? But it's just inconsistency with him. Landry Shamet hasn't been able to find his rhythm yet with the Brooklyn Nets, which is tough because we literally traded a first-round pick for him. So we're getting more value out of Bruce Brown, who we got rid of Donza Musa in a second for, than Landry Shamet, which kind of sucks. But he'll figure it out. I think it's early in the season. He'll get it situated. But our bench is led by Caris LeVert. Or this game it was led by Caris LeVert and TLC Timothé Lalau-Cabarro. Shout out TLC, man. That's my guy. But Caris LeVert had 20 off the bench, which is insane. I'm glad he's not starting. And the reason I don't want him to start is because our usual starting lineup, which would be right now, it would be Kyrie, TLC, Joe Harris, KD, and either Jared Allen, DeAndre Jordan, doesn't matter. But if we take out TLC and put Caris LeVert in, Caris LeVert production just drops, and we need a player on the bench who actually knows what they're doing, which is why when he comes off the bench, this is what he does. He drops 20 points and goes crazy and is a spark plug. And we only had 9 players this game. I think it was Corona. I can't remember. I know we have a couple injuries floating around, but I think Corona might be a thing. But then, yeah, so that's good. TLC had 11 points too. Good. I love TLC, man. I hope we get him a nice contract because I want to bring him back. Dude's a baller. Dude's a stud. And he's been here for a minute, so I'm gonna keep him here. Let's talk about the Kyrie. Look, ladies and gentlemen, I woke up this morning and in our group chat, there's a video um, with Kyrie out at a party, right? And it's like Chris, and then Mustaf's like, shout out Mustaf. He's like, Chris, this is your player right here. Like, this is what your player does when he decides to sit out for personal reasons. And I'm just devastated, man. I go straight to Twitter, I go straight to Reddit, and it's just clouded with everything. And it's like, man, why can't he just play basketball? Why can't he just show up and play basketball? Why does he have to do all the extra stuff? Why, like, just show up and play basketball, man? Like, we just want to see basketball. But the off-court stuff, and that's why I don't like. He's my least favorite net, in general, just because of the off-court stuff. On-court, dude's a bucket, man. But like off-court, like I don't know what to say. I don't know. Um, Hopefully the organization figures something out to get this man right, because I don't want to see him like this, and I want him back on the court so we can win more games, so we can be top 3 in the East. But yeah, and then just quickly, that was my team. That's my thing about my team, but with the Nuggets too. I don't want to, but we're going to. Um, Zeke didn't even play, so there's really nothing to talk about. Just kidding. Will Barton's a bucket, man. Dude was actually lighting us up in the fourth quarter. Like I think he had like 3 threes, or he had 2 threes, and then like a really nice play in the fourth quarter that like kept him in the game. And he's the reason they were still in the game, because Jamal Murray had kind of fell off this game, and he kind of fell off this season, to be honest with you. He hasn't been performing up to his level, and I don't know if it's just because he's tired or if he's not ready to come back yet, and they're playing him too many minutes. But I kind of want to see him play a little bit better, to be honest. Bol started this game too, didn't do anything, played 16 minutes and sat. Joker with the double-double, almost a triple-double, like Kevin Durant, but couldn't close it out. There's a player that I do want to talk about, Monte Morris. Yeah, Monte Morris. Dude is really good. He's a good player for them. He was doing really good. He scored 14 points off the bench for them, and he was doing a lot of damage to us, offensively and defensively. So, I mean, if we ever play the Knicks again, and if I know Moose and a couple other guys, and Darius, are T-Wolves guys. So if you're looking out for that, and I know these guys are in the same division, Monte Morris, just write the name down. Just Monte Morris. Don't be surprised when he drops 20 on your head. Alright, so next game we're not going to talk a lot about, because it was a blowout, and some of the players that I actually care about on these teams didn't even play. Utah Jazz versus Cleveland Cavaliers. 30-point blowout, 117 to 87. Utah. I guess the only thing I really want to say is that Donovan Mitchell, dude's a bucket still. Dude's good. And I always think in my head, for some reason, I'm like, he can't carry this team by himself. He really can't. But he continues to prove me wrong, right? It's what you want to see out of a player like him. And then on Cleveland side of things, Colin Sexton and Darius Garland didn't even play. So that's the only reason I even care about the team. Didn't even play. So, and Andre Drummond didn't play either. So it was literally just Cedi Osman just trying to do his thing, which he can't do by himself. So, don't really care. But yeah, it was just a blowout. But hopefully Cleveland gets those guys back, because I want to watch them play, because Cleveland is a fun team when they actually have everybody together. Alright, so for the next game, I'm not going to spend crazy amount of time on it because I didn't watch this one either. But San Antonio Spurs taking on Oklahoma City Thunder. Spurs won this one 112 to 102. And I guess the main takeaways from this game, Lonnie Walker, my bad. Excuse me, I always say Looney, that's my bad. Lonnie Walker the fourth had 24 points, which is good, and they didn't even have DeMar DeRozan either, and they still won by 12. The Spurs are pretty solid. In my ranking, which I'm going to show at one point, my ranking, I have the Spurs finishing like 12th in the West, and I'm kind of reconsidering that decision because they are actually really, really good. DeJounte Murray is a really good guard. He's a really good guard in the league. Lonnie Walker's really, really good too. And DeMar DeRozan is only, I mean, surprisingly, he's only getting better. You would think he'd kind of mellow out, or maybe you'd see a peak, or we've already seen the peak maybe, but no, he just keeps getting better. He's got a shot, which is good to see. Patty Mills had 17 off the bench for them, which is crazy. Shout out Patty Mills. But yeah, nah, Spurs went crazy. Now, if we take a look at the Thunder, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, my bad. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander had 20 points, and 9 rebounds. Basically, dude's out here playing by himself. He's got a bunch of, I won't say bums because they're not all bums, but some scrubs he's playing alongside with. Like George Hill. George Hill isn't all that anymore. Same can be said with Al Horford. Dude's got a fat contract but can't play the game basketball. SGA is doing it all by himself. Hamidou Diallo, he's good too, but he's coming off the bench for them. So basically, all I gotta say is that the Thunder, with all their picks, they need to surround SGA with some form of talent, because I personally think, and I know a couple other people do too, that he could be an all-star in like 2 to 3 years. He'll be an all-star. He's putting up the numbers that he needs to, and he's keeping him competitive, which is surprising. You would think this would be the year that they would just tank so they can get all their picks, and then use the picks to get players, or maybe ship them out for better assets and whatnot. But all I'm gonna say is, if they're gonna keep SGA, they need to surround him with better talent, because I want the man to succeed. Him with Chris Paul, I think, was good, because Chris Paul definitely taught him how to play the game of basketball at like a high level, and he gave him playoff experience too, which is always important for a young guard. So hopefully that pans out. Alright, so the last game that I'm gonna talk about, because the Pacers and Warriors are going on right now, and Domantas Sabonis is a demon. Shout out to Domantas Sabonis. That's my guy. Right? I don't want to watch James Wiseman. I already know what he does, but to have to watch Andrew Wiggins, like I'd rather go outside for 2 hours with a t-shirt on than watch Andrew Wiggins play basketball, because that is not fun to watch. And having lived in Minnesota my whole life, and having went to T-Wolves games and having to experience that for myself live in person, I'd rather not. But yeah, no. Victor Oladipo, Domantas Sabonis, shout out to those guys. Hopefully they catch a dub. But we're gonna actually talk about the Lakers and the Rockets for the last game. This game was kind of a blowout too. It wasn't all that entertaining. Lakers won it 117 to 100, and it really just came down to the fact that the Rockets can't hit shots. That's kind of just the Rockets brand of basketball. It's like, take high risk shots. You take high risk shots, hope for the best, right? That's kind of just how they play basketball. And if you watch them in the bubble, that's kind of just how they played and how they got through the playoffs. It was just like, we're just gonna shoot the ball and hope it goes in, right? We're gonna play loaded defense, but we're just gonna shoot all day. And that's how this game worked, and it didn't pan out for these guys. Christian Wood had 18 points. Shout out Christian Wood. He got a payday, and he's proving why he deserves a starting role in the NBA. John Wall with 10 points, 5 assists. I mean, I don't want to say the train is over, because it's not, but it's not looking good for John Wall. I mean, I hope he starts to, I want to see a full, like, real John. Harden had 16 points, he shot 1 for 6 from 3, 5 for 16 from the field. Literally just an off night for James Harden. It just came down to that. They had Eric Gordon and Boogie Cousins come off the bench, drop 13 apiece. Boogie Cousins had a double-double, 10 rebounds to go along with it. Lakers do Lakers things, I guess. LeBron with 26, 80 with a double-double. Marcus Hall doesn't have an impact. The center position on the Lakers team doesn't have an impact. And I think almost every team LeBron's been on, the center position doesn't have an impact, which is understandable, right? It's usually like a power forward that would take that over, like in Miami, Chris Bosh, Cleveland, Kevin Love, and now it's AD. Right? It's always like a strong power forward who can do almost everything. As far as the bench goes, Montrezl had 14 points. Kuzma with the double-double in rebounds and points, 11 rebounds, 11 points. Kyle Kuzma, I don't like him. I don't know why. I just don't like Kyle Kuzma for some reason. But dude, he's been balling out, to say the least. But yeah, no, Lakers are really solid, man. I think I have him finishing first in the West, right? And it's understandable. I think everyone does. And I think they can go back to the finals again because the Clippers aren't proving anything right now, right? They just literally a couple days ago just blew like a 20-point lead. All right, so now this is the part of the video now where I'm just gonna kick it to the guys. They're just gonna give their thoughts on whatever they want to talk about. You know what I'm saying? As far as the NBA goes, we got Moose, Darius, Fuad, Ari giving their thought. I think Ari he didn't respond or saying he was down, but I think he would be down if I asked him again. So yeah, I'm just gonna kick it to them. They're gonna give their thoughts on whether it's a game or just a team in general. I know Moose is going to probably talk about the Celtics. Darius is probably going to talk about the T-Wolves. I don't know what Ari would do. And Fuad, he's either going to talk about the Heat, either the Heat or Julius Randle, because that's all he ever talks about. So, but yeah, I'm just going to kick them. They're going to give their thoughts or whatever, and then I'm going to close it out.
Hello, I'm Darius. I'm going to talk about how the Houston Rockets have gone from being one of the best teams in the league to being one of the worst teams in the league in a little less than a summer. Starting off last year, James Harden requested a trade from the Rockets, and throughout the trade, up to the trade deadline, there was no trade made, but his co-star, Russell Westbrook, was traded away for John Wall. They also required DeMarcus Cousins through another trade, and on paper they seem to be better, but they've proved to be worse. They start the season off with a 3-4 record, and just today James Harden has come out and said Houston just isn't good enough. This is the first time since those trade rumors last summer that he's publicly came out and said anything negative about the Houston Rockets. On top of those comments about the Rockets, it's for the first time in James Harden's career over a 4-game stretch, he's yet to crack 20 points. The season also started off rocky, as for the first few games, James Harden missed those games for unknown reasons. He then later appeared for the 4th game, not looking like his usual self. In all, the Rockets need to figure out what's going on because James Harden is not happy there, and it's imminent that he wants to be out of there quickly. Although I don't think he will be traded anytime soon as he has a few years left on his contract, I do hope James Harden gets out of there and finds a better situation fast.
I'm Mustafa Ali, and I'm here to talk about the 2 stars going absolutely supernova out in Boston right now. Of course, I'm talking about Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum of the Boston Celtics, who have absolutely exploded onto the scene this year, leading the Celtics to the best record in the East through 10 games. And I mean, looking at the offseason additions, it seemed like the Celtics were really the only team that didn't get better out in the East. I mean, the Nets got back KD and Kyrie, the Bucks added Drew Holiday, the Miami Heat already went to the finals. I mean, with the Celtics losing Gordon Hayward and adding absolutely nothing, and Kemba Walker being injured to start the year, a lot was going to be on the shoulders of Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum to begin this year, and boy, have they answered. I mean, Jason Tatum averaging career highs in everything with more efficient shooting numbers than last year when he was an All-NBA player. And Jaylen Brown now averaging 26 points and 6 rebounds and 3 assists on otherworldly shooting numbers, leading the league in mid-range shot percentage, shooting incredible from the field. And add that to him guarding the best perimeter player every night, and it looks like Jaylen Brown is blossoming right in front of our eyes. Kind of like the same way Tatum did towards the end of last year. He looks like he's really taking that next step. And Jaylen Brown especially, who was a player throughout his career, viewed as a role player, 3-and-D guy, constantly in trade rumors, even in this James Harden saga going on right now. His name was being thrown around a lot. You got to admire how he just gets on the court and he lets his game do the talking. And boy, it's talking right now. I mean, the scary part, though, about Jaylen Brown's blossoming right now is that none of what he's doing is unsustainable. I mean, you look at how he's playing. Obviously, the shooting numbers are going to go down eventually. That's just how basketball works. But he has so much more confidence. His handle looks tight now. He's getting separation on shots. He's hitting his open shots. He's getting to the rim using his 40-inch vertical, And you add that to the defense that you're getting from these two players who both received votes for the all-defensive team last year. I mean, the Celtics are going to have two-way superstars to build around for the future and for the foreseeable future, and they better get it right.
Hi, my name is Fuad Hassan, avid Heat fan, but today we talking about the Washington Wizards. Worst defense in the league. Washington's poorest defense has conceded 121 points per game, which is the most by any team since the 1990 Denver Nuggets. They have former MVP Russell Westbrook, but he's shooting 37% from the field, averaging 5 turnovers, and now he is injured. Their starting center, Thomas Bryant's out for the season for an ACL injury, and they can't even do anything. Even Bradley Beal, who's the leading scorer in the league, dropping 30, 40 consistently, said that they can't even guard a parked car. You wonder, why is this happening? Coronavirus is getting in the way. They have no backup. Their bench is the worst in the league. They have just a bunch of guards. Scott Brooks, former Thunder coach, who did pretty good with the Thunder, doesn't know how to run small ball. He's always had a good center. They can't have to start running small ball, but they can't do that. They surprisingly beat the Phoenix Suns, so that shows a little bit of something that can happen here. They just got to be a little patient, but this is the worst defense I've ever seen. They got to get Bradley Beal out of there. He got to leave. He's the best shooting guard in the East, leading scorer, all-star snub last season. He needs to get out of there somehow.
My name is Ari, and today I'm going to be talking about the Milwaukee Bucks. After a disappointing 4-1 loss and near sweep in the 2020 Eastern Conference semifinals by the Miami Heat, the Milwaukee Bucks went into an extremely tumultuous offseason that kept Bucks fans on the edge of their seats as they awaited Giannis Antetokounmpo's decision on signing a deal. However, Bucks fans everywhere rejoiced as Giannis signed the Supermax and a trade was made for Jrue Holiday, who is a top-tier defender and a certified playoff performer and will no doubt help elevate Giannis and the Milwaukee Bucks into more serious playoff contention. However, currently the Bucks are third in the Eastern Conference, only being one game back from the 76ers and Celtics. But so far in the 2020-2021 season, the Bucks have looked bright as Chris Middleton is shooting 55% from the field and 50% from three. However, regular season contention isn't really the name of the game for the Bucks. After signing Giannis again and suffering through the disappointing playoff loss against the Heat, the Bucks really need to prove that they can have substantial playoff success, hopefully in the form of a championship now. And Giannis needs to show that he can run on automatics and lead the Bucks through playoff teams that will utilize high pressure, strict man-to-man defense, and 2-3 zone defense that will move the pressure up and try to take away Giannis as a threat. And then, although the Bucks are doing it all on defense, seeing as they've been one of the consistently most stingy defenses in basketball history, having ceded the 8th lowest points all time per 100 possessions, this team will seriously need to elevate its offense to overcome more complex playoff defenses and deeper, bigger teams like the LA Lakers, who will undoubtedly be tougher playoff contenders.
All right. This is going to be the end of the video right here. Those were some interesting takes we've heard from the guys. I agree with some of it, don't agree with others, but because I'm not a big Celtics fan, to be honest with you. Mustaf's take, hate it. I'm not a fan of Marcus Smart, not a fan of Daniel Tice, not a fan of the Celtics in general. I'm not a fan. But regardless, this is the end of the video. Hopefully it worked out well. I think it worked out well. But yeah, hopefully this thing worked out well. I think I had a fun time doing this. Because I just have to watch basketball, right? Which is what I would do anyway. Now I just have to record my reaction to it. And I think I gave a pretty solid reaction to it. I'm recording this on my phone, and then I plugged in my gaming headset. So I know the audio is going to be a little weird, but regardless, still had a good time doing this. It was actually fun. But yeah, so the top NBA, that's what I'm calling it. So yeah, I think it was a fun video. But anyway, thank you for watching. I know it's going to be a little long, but yeah, thank you for watching. Yeah, maybe we'll do this again. Who knows? But I enjoyed it. So